Hey everyone. Hey. First of all, I'd like to congratulate Simon and Kuda on the great turnout. It seems like there's more of us this year than there was last year. So yay, thanks Kuda and wherever Simon is. Thanks guys. All right, cool. My name is Thabiso and I am from Koyoko. Most of you that were here last year, well, not here, but at JS and SA last year, would know what Koyo is or who Koyo is. We are basically a perception company. Basically we deal with ratings in a more abstract case than most companies. Most companies do it in a, we'll just collect your data and we'll just bring you back a survey at the end of the year. So we do it in a basically progressive way. You get your ratings as you go, day by day, minute by minute. So that's what we do. So we were busy working on a product called Koyo for Business. So currently we have Koyo for just normal people. So yes, everyone here can actually join Koyo. But then we also have a solution whereby it'll be provided to companies. So basically it'll be a very, very beneficial product in the sense that any company and every company can then implement an appreciation program. So also not just for appreciation, but to actually make the companies better themselves. Okay, now on to the code actually. Well, not the code. Funny enough, this is a presentation with less slides. I saw people like 40 slides and I'm like, what the hell? So okay, with us it's just minimal slides, you won't even see any code. So most of the stuff is just me talking. Wow, yes, right? This is a JS and SA event and there's no code. Wow. Okay, cool. So can I just ask you guys, who of you has used SailsJS? Gee, there's literally 2 people. SailsJS. No one has ever heard of it, right? Basically, SailsJS is a MVC framework for Node. Wow, who knew there was that, right? Okay, and who here is a C# developer? Well, ASP, don't know. Gee, okay, cool. Maybe this should be JS and SA and C# conference, right? Cool. So diving into our slide, so with our solution currently, well, Koyo Business, we wanted to use SailsJS as well as Microsoft SQL Server. Most people would think, why didn't we go with MySQL, right? I mean, Microsoft products are like expensive on top of being, well, the reason we trust Microsoft is because there's more integrity, I think. I believe there's more security. So in essence, when you try to implement sales with Microsoft SQL Server, we run into a few problems, right? So the problems that we had is that we're new to Node. So we had to learn sales, we had to learn Express, we had to learn everything from scratch. And on top of that, we also have to integrate it into SQL Server. So basically at the box, SailsJS works with your local disk, and it has a very good extension to MySQL. So now we had to add other things. We have to add 2 libraries. So basically, Sales has another adapter that connects to SQL Server, which is Sales SQL Server. It comes with Sales. So that we had to also add another one, which is called MSSQL. Yeah, so imagine having 2 different libraries to actually interact with one database. So you can see the red flag there. So another problem with that is that, yes, we had a lot of start procs. Obviously, that's very important because we don't need SQL injection in our products. So basically with that, implementing start procedures is like saying, my start procedure, well, I'd like to run this start procedure, and the parameters are, and you put it in quotation marks, you say, this is my start procedure plus, and then you just put in the variable name. And you have to actually concatenate that whole string before you run it. That's not the best way of doing it, right? So on top of, having to do that and learning all of these crazy things, so basically, we're a small team of 3 people, funny enough, 3 people. So having to work with Node, sales, and all of this stuff, we had a lot of problems. So we were trying to get a great product because we know Node rocks, right? Very quick, asynchronous and all. So if we had run with that, I think it would have taken us like 20 years to finish this whole thing because it's just a team of 3 people. We're not like 10 people or anything like that. But hopefully, as time goes by, we'll then grow. So we really don't want to end up like this scatter, right? Okay, so like I said, our backend was sales. So the problem that we had is that we had to have a slight paradigm shift of how we interacted with our database. So how we interacted with our database when you're creating, like with regards to CRUD operations, sales handles that for you out the box. So what if we wanted to add like custom content into our creation? So we would have had to literally override what sales gave us and didn't really like how it works. And on top of that, sometimes sales crashes. So nah, it wasn't a nice thing. So what did we have to do? We made a move to what we were most comfortable with, Microsoft. So Microsoft, it's .NET Core. So we have also .NET Core MVC. So which is better between Node and .NET Core? Let's hear this. I'd like to hear an answer to this question. Which is better, Node or .NET Core? Nope, nope, nope. That's not the answer. Which is better? It depends, huh? On whatever, right? So basically, would you say Node and .NET Core are the same thing? Or the speed is similar? Yeah, no one's answering, right? So why do you guys think this Node is the future and Node is the only thing that's quick? Yes, we know Node is asynchronous, right? But ASP.NET Core is also asynchronous. We have that async keyword that we put in. So basically with that is that we have some sort of a not so much of a different performance shift, but we're working with something that we're practically comfortable with. So basically we'll be able to actually get our product out in production quicker, as opposed to having to take like 10 years before we learn Node and all of that stuff. And the problem is, we are a team of 3 people that actually are .NET developers. So actually going into Node was not a bad move, but it was a risky move. If you want to move a product up into production, you really don't want to learn something from scratch and actually take 2 years before you actually even have something to show to anyone. So you really need to be quick, right? So now, like we said, at the moment, everything is Microsoft. But the future is that we want to actually integrate Node.js. So basically what we're going to have is we're going to have an ASP.NET Core web API working with a front-end Node.js application. So basically with Node, as it progresses, not that I'm saying Node is not a good thing. That's why I was asking which is better between Node and ASP.NET Core. So basically, we'll leverage Node into our front end, and we'll also have our web API in the back end. So our interaction with the database is what was very important for us, because the data that we'll be carrying is very, very confidential. So we didn't want anything that would actually hinder our security with regards to our data. So with the front end with Node we'll be able to interact, Socket.io. So basically we need Socket.io because our application, like I said, is a minute-to-minute, second-to-second kind of survey where you'll be able to get your data on the go. So we don't want you to wait at the end of the day and actually download a report or something. So we want everything to be to come to you right as it happens, right? So basically, as we will go forward, we'll also have a mobile app, which will leverage from Node using the Socket.io. So that is what we will be doing in the future. So the lesson that we had learned, like I said, as we were working with sales, right? At the beginning, you can see return on IO and time 0 is 0, right? So as we were working, as months were going by, return on investment was growing, but to my experience, I'd like to believe that return on IO should be on par with our time that we have spent. So if your return on, your ROI, return on investment on your project, is lower than the time that you've spent, you know that there's something wrong that you're doing. You have to actually, as you make an application, The less, you have to spend less time so that you can actually push a product out to production and have someone actually use it. So that basically is your return on investment. So that is the lesson that we have learned there. So basically, as we were going, like currently what we're working at is, let me just show you guys. So basically, this is what we'll be having. So you'll have your employees and you'll have like top ratees in your department. So basically, this is data that you'll be getting on the go. So that's what we're working on currently, and this is built on complete Microsoft technology. So this is also like very fast, actually quite faster than what we had when we were working with Node. Another thing we had to learn is that although Node is asynchronous, we also need to make sure that with our approach, we have that thinking, an asynchronous kind of thinking, is what I'd like to call it. So if we didn't have that asynchronous kind of thinking and we had our operations running slowly, we basically have a normal traditional application that just doesn't run asynchronously and everything just runs slow. Yes, I was actually worried that it wasn't showing that side, so I'm glad that it's showing. All right, guys. So this is what you guys will probably be seeing in the future. Most companies are going to be using this. And we've got 2 companies currently that are waiting to actually use this product. So hopefully we'll be seeing most of you guys on this application next year. So yeah, so back to my slides. So those are our contact details, and we made this presentation with love from us to you guys. So there are information, so in case anyone is interested or would like to give some input onto what we have done so far, or maybe have any ideas as to what we can add for some organizations that would like some additions to the product. So that is what, those are our contact details. Okay, thanks, bye. I know I've got like so much time left. So I've got some gifts, 2 gifts actually. All right, guys. So the question that I had, a very important question that I had, is who has had a problem with regards to actually being tied down, or rather having your product or your project run slow because of the fact that you had to learn a new technology like Node? Yes, sir? Okay, so your challenge was actually learning Xamarin and actually having to finish your product working with Xamarin, right? Yes, sir? Yes, like I was saying, that guy, our sir said that he had a problem with regards to actually adding Xamarin on his project, and that actually pushed him back a bit. So can I ask you, what's the approach that you took, or what decision did you have to make in order to actually progress with your project? So did you have to change technologies? Okay, so you had to get great resources. Did you have to hire anyone, or did you have to? All right, cool. So you guys basically, yeah. So you guys had to learn from scratch, right? Okay, that's a good approach. Sorry, can I just give you a gift? Yes, sir. That side. You've got a question? What would I choose between Node and .NET Core? That, if I had to stick to one, I'd stick with what I'm comfortable with, which would be ASP.NET. But another thing is that the industry that we're in, we have to continue learning. So that's why we're actually going to be adding full-on Node.js on our front end. Yeah. No, so that's a good approach. That's a good decision that you had to make. Would you rather keep on learning something that keeps breaking, as opposed to actually finishing something and giving it out to the people that need it? All right, no, thanks for that comment. Can you just please pass it by? Anyone else who's got a comment, or yes, sir? Yes. So the reason so you're saying that we had a problem with regards to actually connecting our sales to Microsoft SQL. What was, yeah. Yes, yes. So basically, like I said, we had a problem with stored procedures. Our stored procedures, the way sales handles stored procedures, or rather the way MSSQL, the library, handles.procedures basically leaves you vulnerable to some sort of attack on your database. So that's why we decided to actually go back to C# and .NET so that it literally just connects to what it knows. So that's why we felt like that was safe for us. Thank you. Yes, sir?
Yeah, I've got a two-parter.
Okay.
So it sounds like your main reason was school criticism.
The reason, so basically, when we built our application, first of all, in the first place, it was basically the first application so this is an integration to the first product. So your question is saying that if we could do it again, would we use store procedures or would we use an open source database like MongoDB, for instance, right?
No, so I mean like you use that.
So basically, our store procedures were doing exactly what they would do if it was a MySQL database, but the problem is that our initial product is sitting on a MySQL database, and it felt like having them talk to each other would be easier than actually having two database servers talk to each other. So we actually just decided to put our everything, like our whole data persistence, everything sits in one central SQL server. Something that is very familiar with the whole application, so it'll be easier. That's why in the future, we're still planning on keeping Web API as the backend for our application. Thank you. Let me just give you guys your gifts. Go. And there you go. All right, cool. Okay, thanks, guys. That was us. Like I said,